Welcome all my lovely creators and welcome back to the Wizard of Oz series. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this Glinda-inspired costume. Before we get into the video, remember all the supplies except the fabric are in the Amazon storefront link in the description. And if you choose to recreate this costume, don't forget to tag me in any of my social medias, which are also in the link below. Or you could just follow me there and say hi. Okay, I think that's it. Let's get to the video. So I'm gonna start off with this ABS plastic, and I'm gonna use my heat gun and taking like a shirt, something like a thick cloth. I am gonna use that to mold the ABS plastic onto my mannequin so it can hold its form. And I don't recommend using this ABS plastic. When I was making this, Warbler was like out of stock, so I had to use what I could. But yeah, so I'm just going to mold it with onto the mannequin and using a cloth to just like shape it and put it in place. And once it's molded, I'm going to put some masking tape over the plastic, and I'm going to, well, I put a lot of masking tape on it, as y'all could see, but I'm going to draw out my pattern on it, how I want it to look, and then I'm going to mark my pattern pieces. As you can see, it's like labeled 1, 2, 3, 4 all around, so I know where to cut. So once I've sketched it all out, I'm going to cut that plastic with the masking tape on it. So I just know, like, you know, all my, all my pattern pieces are like great. And so I put my pattern pieces onto some cardstock, and I cut them out. So I've only cut out 1/2 of the piece. So I'm going to use a cloth, and I'm going to trace over the side that I have cut. And this is actually the alphabet corset. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, but I'm going to trace over the cloth with the the part that I did cut out. And then I'm going to cut that cloth, and then I'm going to use, like, you know, you see how I've traced it? I'm going to use that, and now I'm going to trace that onto the other side that I have not cut. So I know both halves are, like, you know, the same, like, they're the same. And honestly, a hack, using the heating gun to heat it a bit and then cut actually like saves time. Like, I learned this when I did the alphabet corset, which I did after the Glinda corset, but you know, you can learn it as you're making your own. You see, this is why we learn from people's mistakes, or, you know, when people learn. But yeah, so after all of that, I now cut out, like, you know, onto the fabric of, I cut out, like, you know, my pattern pieces from the fabric I'm going to use, and I did add what's it called, 3/8. I add 3/8 of what's this thing called? Oh my god, OMG, seam allowance. Okay, but yeah, so then I, like, you know, I sew them all together. Nothing fancy, just straight stitches going along, you know, going along it. And so then I'm going to use, honestly, yeah, use this like vinyl plastic glue to now glue the fabric onto the bodice piece. So yeah, so I'm just going to saturate it in that glue, and we are going to see that, yes, we're going to make an oopsie daisy, but you know, we recover from oopsie daisies, and I show y'all my mistakes and all my learning process here, so y'all don't make it too, and we move forward. So yeah, so I lay that fabric onto the bodice, and I smooth it in place as much as I can. And now as y'all can see, y'all can start seeing the black of the ABS plastic seep through. I don't know if it's gonna happen with Warbler, thermoplastic, because obviously I didn't use that here, but I do recommend y'all do use them for something like this. But because I didn't have it, this would have to use. But as you can see, I posted this on my Instagram, and you can see the black seeping through, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this project is gonna go to shambles. It's not happening. Like, what am I gonna do? So now I tell y'all what I did. So I got fusible stabilizing fabric, the one that you iron on, and, you know, I splashed water onto it. And I don't know what that does, but that's what they say how you use it, so that's how I use it. And so I put a fabric on top of that. I put a fabric on top of it, and then I got my iron. On the setting, it says to follow the instructions. Just follow the instructions. But on the setting, it says to put it on, and I ironed it on, and then I still sewed those pieces together, and you know, we're back where we started. And so now I'm using fabric glue to now glue it on top of the piece, like, you know, the old one. And so I left the old fabric on top of there to just keep another barrier from any black seeping through to the pink. So, and that really worked. Like, so I don't know if keeping the, like, having another fabric there helps, but it helped me because I did the same thing for the alphabet corset, because I'm like, you know, I don't have time to make it another oopsie daisies. So yeah. And so once it is glued onto the front and it's smoothed it out, whatever, I take my hot glue and I just fold the extra pieces, over, you know, to the bottom of it, and I glue it on, and I hot glue it on there. So yeah. Using some fabric spray paint glitter, I spray painted some sparkles onto the bodice just to give it a little bit of sparkle. And I take some organza, like same pink shade organza, and I pleat it onto the middle of the bodice, like not the middle of the bodice, but where, like, you know, between the boobies. And I pleat it there so it can, like, you know, be bunched up. And then I hand sew it the best I can. I am not the best hand sewer. I'm not the best sewer, but I do the best I can, and I just hand sew it, hand sew the pleats together. And I also, like, you know, am onto the top, like, layer of the fabric, sewing it onto the bodice. And then, like, the extra, I, like, fold it under and then, like, sew on, like, a hand sew onto the, you know, top layer of fabric along the top of the bodice, so it can, like, you know, give it that poof around, like, the boobs and the hand area. You know, y'all have seen the pictures on Instagram. Y'all know how it looks like. You know, I showed it in the beginning. For the armholes, I just, like, hot glue, like, you know, onto the edge of it, and then I take the other end of the organza and I just hot glue the end, so giving a lot of space and gap for my arm. So I just glue the end of it to the back of the bodice, as you all can see in the picture, in the video. And so then I'm going to take my little brooch, and I'm going to put some E6000, obviously have this place well ventilated with this E6000. Yeah, it's always, like, you know, there's fans going around, and the windows open, so have it ventilated. And then I'm going to put that in the middle of the pleats, so y'all don't see the pleats and it looks like, you know, it was made like this, because it was made like this. And yeah, so I actually put something really heavy on top of it. I don't know if you see it in the video, but I put something really heavy on top of it and leave it to dry and harden overnight. But this is how it's looking like right now. Okay, next we're making the stars. So I'm going to start with the E6000, and I'm going to put a little rhinestone piece in the middle, and then I'm going to take, you know, the rhinestone chains, and then I'm going to line it up with the seam on the bodice, and I'm going to put one at the top and two at the sides, and they're like the chains are like 6 lengths of rhinestones for the top and the sides. And then I'm going to take a really long piece of the rhinestone, and I'm just going to line it up with the rest of the seam. And then I also put, like, you know, middle, like, I think 3 lengths chains of rhinestones at each of the, like, middles of the little star burst, and it really gives, like, you know, star. As I said, I was inspired by the 1930s Wizard of Oz, so that's why I put the stars on the bodice, because she had a bunch of stars on hers. So then, you know, as I said, I have a lot of dangly pieces just to make it a little bit whimsical, and so, like, you know, I cut them and I trimmed them to it. But yeah, like, you know, as you can just speed it up, you know, at this time, like, tell me what y'all think about the Wizard of Oz project. Like, oh my gosh, I have been thinking about this project for so long. If y'all have seen it on Instagram, I think I posted, like, you know, this has been in my head since 2021, which is crazy. And then now it's like, it's finally in the zeitgeist. But yeah, and then I make little stars all over the bodice around my stars, the main stars. And so I just do the same thing, but, you know, smaller. And yeah, like, cute. And so yeah, and then I also put rhinestone chains on the back of the bodice, just in the middle of the 3 main, like, chains coming from the stars, but these ones are just like, they're just chains to be dangling there, just a little extra whimsy. But yeah, and then I trim the chains to the length that I would like them to be. But when y'all do it, trim it to the length that y'all would like it to be, because I want to see it. I cut a bunch of the ABS plastic strips to make my lace-up hooks, and I'm going to do this by heating up the ABS plastic. And with the part that I heat up, I am going to loop it over the D-ring. And once it's looped over, I'm going to take a silicone mat and press it together so it stays stuck. Then I'm going to take the E6000 and I put that in the middle of the strip, and then on the sides I'm going to put hot glue, because this is what I was taught, was that the E6000 is going to have it on stuck when it's there forever and ever, and the hot glue has it on stuck while you're still making your corset. And then I'm going to place that onto the corset on the back, just like I'm doing in this video. And once that's done, I am going to take another strip of fabric, and this is going to cover the whole inner back of the corset. So with the edges of the fabric, I fold them over and I glue them onto one side of the back of the corset, and then I put hot glue in the middle of the corset as much as I can in all the crevices, and I just place the fabric over it and try to smooth it as much as I can into like the boobies of the corset, and then I trim the top of it. And once that's trimmed, I just fold it over as I did the edge and hot glue it, so you don't see any of the raw edges. But I fold it over to the other side to complete the corset, and here's the back of it, looking all clean and neat. And then here is the front of the completed corset. Remember, if you recreate this, definitely tag me on any social media you have me on, you follow me on, and let's make the skirt of this thing. So the skirt portion of this is going to be a circle skirt. I am not good at the calculations of a circle skirt, but the mechanism of how to do it is you cut the corner of it and then you cut the curve of the circle skirt. To find out the calculations, please go online and figure out the calculations to your own measurements. I am not good at this. This footage is going to show you that I am not good at it. I actually make a huge mistake, but I'm not afraid to show you my mistakes so y'all don't make it too. So I cut the corner of it and then I cut the curve of it, but as you can see, that is too wide, too big for me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. Thank God I had more fabric so I can fix my mistake. So on the new fabric, I pin up the horsehair braid so it can have flounce to it. Flounce, I don't know what flounce means, but I hope I'm using it in the correct context. I pin the horsehair braid to the right side of the fabric, and then on the edges of the horsehair braid, I fold over masking tape over the edges of it and cut it to the sides of it, and then I also cover the masking tape with extra fabric, and I do this so none of the edges come out and poke me, because that would be very uncomfortable. So I fold it over and pin it together and fold out the edges of it, just making sure it's nice and covered, because I don't want to get poked, and I don't think y'all want to get poked either. Do sew the coverings, and I also sew the horsehair braid to the front of the skirt, and once that is sewed to the front of the skirt, I do fold over the horsehair braid and I sew it all around to the back of the skirt. So I'm going to take a whole bunch of tulle fabric and I fold it up into 4, and I don't even remember how many yards of tulle I got, but I know it was a whole bunch of tulle. And I fold it up to 4 and I pin it together so I can gather the tulle. And for gathering, I just hype up my tension and I make the length really long, as the longest the sewing machine can go, and I just gather up all that tulle. I take the gather tulle and I line it up with the opening of the skirt, and once I have it all lined up, I take it and I start pinning the tulle to the opening of the skirt. So just be careful, don't poke yourself, and keep pinning it up. And then I just straight stitch the tulle onto the lining of the skirt, and once it's all stitched together, it should look like this. And I know it looks see-through, that's why we're going to put another round of gathered tulle onto the skirt, and just like we did with the first round, we're just gonna straight stitch it onto the skirt, and it's gonna look like this. It looks crazy, but you know, it's gonna look like something soon. So then I start trimming the excess tulle. So I tried doing it like this, but I was just not getting it. It was not working for me. So I ended up laying down the whole skirt onto the floor, and then I just trimmed it like that, and I just let a little bit hang over the lining of the skirt. Using organza fabric, I think I have like 2 layers, and I'm going to make 2 circle skirts with them, so they're like 2 top layers for our skirt. And as I said before, I am not good at the circle skirt math, so find your circle skirt calculator, put your numbers in, and cut it like this, and we have our 2 circle skirts just like that. Hemming the circle skirt, so first I just straight stitch along the edge of it, just leaving a little bit over, as you can see in the video, so not on the edge but a little bit inside. Then after that, I flip over the little edge part, and then I sew around the circle skirt again. And once that's all sewn around, I cut the excess from the folded over part, and I just cut all around just to remove the excess. And once that's all done, I fold it over again, and I just straight stitch that down to complete the hem, and I do this for both of the organza layers. Now just pin both of your layers onto the rest of your tulle skirt, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to send this back into the sewing machine to get sewn together, and it's a lot of fabric, so just be very, very gentle and patient. I pitifully sewed on an elastic band. I ensured that it was stretchy enough to go over my hips, and whenever it contracted, it will stay on my waist area. But as you can see, I sewed my elastic band on very ugly. I don't like how it came out. Honestly, your best bet is to find a good TikTok that will show you how to do it better than me, and just say Steph's Creation sent you. Once that's all over, I take my sparkly spray, fabric spray paint, and I spray it all over the skirt, trying to, like, you know, open it up so it can get in all the little crevices, like, you know, the folds, the skirt. So yeah, like, you know, get it everywhere. Okay, so it's sparkly. She's a star. You're a star, okay? And here's the finished look. If you choose to recreate it, always remember to tag me. I want to see it. I want to post you. I want to freak out and be like, oh my gosh, amazing. Okay, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you choose to recreate this costume, definitely tag me in any of my social medias. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.